As Canada are in the Watsontown area this weekend to plow fields.
The event is called Plow Day. More than 200 tractors are expected to plow through Northumberland County.
Brandon Weaver of Muncie has a friend coming from Connecticut.
One of the guys with him flew in from Minnesota and the other from Alberta, Canada.
So yeah, this is me, flying from Alberta, Canada, all the way to New England to drive some lawn tractors in a field and hang out with some good friends. And here's how it all went down.
I'm in America now. Yoink.
Driving up to the platform here to pick me up at about 9:30 at night is Hugh Jeffries, aka Pacific Drummer.
How the hell are you?
Son of a gun. Here, one thing's first.
Thanks for making the trip.
It was my pleasure.
All right.
It is my pleasure.
Let's go get some food, huh?
And, don't you know it, just as we were headed out from the airport, we got a call from Austin Heiderscheid, aka Sears Nut 11, or as we like to call him.
What's up, Hellman Spread? I have the Canuck with me.
Oh, you do?
Austin!
Well, hello there, Rory.
Hello, hello!
This is gonna be fucking awesome.
So, you're flying in tomorrow around 12:30?
Yep.
Okay, this is just a warning. The 8XL has not run since September, and the diesel tractor is torn apart, kind of, so we're going to have some work that we got to do tomorrow, so just FYI.
That makes life more entertaining.
Yeah, Rory brought his work clothes with him, so we're going to be good to go.
Alrighty. Alright, see you tomorrow.
Take it
Let me
easy.
know when I take off, whatever.
Sounds good.
Alright, talk to you then.
Yep, bye.
Bye.
Hellman Spread is confirmed.
Well, there you have it, guys. An American diner. I'll be back with you shortly.
Thursday morning, we had a busy day ahead of us. We had to leave for Pennsylvania the next day, and we had 0 tractors running. So we needed to get to work, but not before a good breakfast first at the Chuck Wagon, where I had my first country fried steak. Here we were at the airport shortly after noon, picking up none other than Sears Nut 11.
Oh, don't you know! Don't you know!
Holy shit! It's actually happening!
Welcome to the US of A, bud.
That's not me, it's him.
You're still in the US of A, bud.
Yes.
Oh, fucking A, right.
How's it going there, Rory?
Good. Smile, you're on Lobsterbox20's channel for the first time.
And you're in America for the first time, aren't you?
Yep.
Really the second time. He was here yesterday as well, so these are all kind of successive times.
Well, whatever.
Send it!
After appropriately eagling Hugh's straight axle swapped 6.5, we piled the back of the truck with some scrap and started our errands for a special project Hugh was planning.
Does it drive pretty good for...
Oh, yeah. Fucking amazing.
Is it way better than it used to?
Yeah. Like, for one, I can let go of the wheel.
Wow.
And nothing happens.
Well, you know what? It's driving straight now.
little over 2 hours, Hugh and Austin had built a fully reversible tandem plow. And Austin and I worked to get the 8XL running. That was a chore. All of that, and our work was far from over. We drove to Stafford, picked up pizza, and spent the rest of the night troubleshooting a charging issue on Hugh's big diesel hydro drive.
It's what? It's 10:30, right?
Yeah.
And we're just rolling through Stafford. We have the diesel Suburban in the back there. Kyle and Hugh spent the last 3 hours or so troubleshooting the voltage regulator and eventually replacing it. The diesel is going to make plow day.
It's also snowing.
Oh yeah, that's right. God, it's cold and snowing. Warmer weather's ahead for us in Pennsylvania, though. So we spent the whole morning loading, unloading, arranging, rearranging. And this is what we're going to Pennsylvania with. It's about a 6.5-hour road trip. Starting on the back here, we have Hugh's mighty GT18 hydro drive Yanmar diesel with an Ariens transaxle and a hydraulic 3-point hitch on the back. We have a tandem plow and 3 other 10-inch moldboard plows sitting in there. This is the Sears Custom 8 horsepower diesel. We have the Tow Mater Sears Hydro Track 10 horsepower diesel. We have the Suburban 10 diesel. I understand this one's called Miss Emily. A 48-inch mowing deck tow box with all the weights in there. And the Sears D10S custom diesel with the Roper nose cone. This trailer is loaded to the brim. But hey, it's all strapped down. It's all secure. This is a 2.7 liter Ford EcoBoost. And we're going to see how this thing hauls. Pretty comfortable.
And haul it did. With James, aka Cranky Sports, at the wheel, we drove across Connecticut, through New York, right to Watsontown, Pennsylvania for Plow Day.
So I just turned on the camera.
Yeah, that's the guy with the turning brakes and the tandem plow.
Nice.
The field that we park in is up here. It's where that sign is there, right? Actually, yes, do that. Right here? Yep. Down here on the side, yeah. Like the other guy's going for Plow.
Right from the moment I jumped out of the truck to help unload, I started to meet people. This is Matt Kane, aka Chuman69, founder of the Sears Suburban Backyard Tractor Club. And he brought with him the tractor that started it all, his fully restored Suburban 12. Not long afterwards, I got to meet the man who completed that restoration, Jeffrey Katera, aka Katera's Collection. Here he is, rocking up on his fully restored and slightly modified GT 19.9, right next to his girlfriend's fully restored SS12. Jeff's GT 19.9 wasn't the only one at the show. Make way for Andy Schworer, aka Full Throttle Andy.
So, Mr. Andy, looks like your own and could use a flywheel screen.
Yes. Thank you very much, buddy.
You're very welcome. It's good to meet you.
Good to meet you too, man.
As you might recall from the beginning of this video, this is Brandon Weaver, aka Off-Roader 94.
As long as I'm not in a giant field full of corn fodder, it does a lot good.
Brandon?
Yeah.
You got dry firewood this year?
Drier.
After chatting with the Sears guys, I indulged in my green side, and I got to meet some of the John Deere guys, starting with Michael, aka MTJD60.
Michael!
Nice to meet you, Rory.
Likewise. Finally.
Yeah. Glad to have you.
Glad to be here. Saw the 210 there.
Yep. I'll be running that tonight because it's got the LED headlights.
Yes.
I wish I could call this tractor mine, but it's not. But I take care of it. Like
It's on custodial loan, I suppose.
Yep. Well, we're glad you can make it all the way down here. I know it was a hike for you, but it's
That's
definitely
true.
worth it.
Yep, 110% worth it.
Not long afterwards, a very recognizable pair of tractors showed up. Jimmy was here, aka John Deere 318 guy.
Hello, Jimmy.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
You made the trek, man. Oh
I
God.
did indeed.
Wow. So you hopped on a flight. What's your nearest airport up there?
Toronto or Montreal.
Okay.
Toronto is the nearest distance.
Gotcha. That's awesome. That's a heck of a haul. I gotta hand it to you.
Worth it. Worth it. So worth it.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh my God. So I went. The first time I went was 2 years ago. I only came up to buy a plow, and I didn't have a machine to plow on, and I'm like, you know what? Someone let me take a couple rounds, and I was hooked.
Back at the Sears camp, everyone had been quite busy, lining up all of the participating tractors there in a row. And by the time we got done with that lineup, there were just a little over 20 Sears tractors at PA Plow Day. A record year.
Yes.
There you go. Thank you.
Is your longest distance traveled award to come here?
There used to be several years ago, not anymore.
Well, he would have won.
Yeah, I heard.
Yeah.
How long did it take?
Oh, you mean the flights and everything?
Yeah.
Well, it took me, flights were short. With the layovers and everything, it took me about 9 hours to fly to Hartford, and then drove up with Austin and Hugh and the others, 6 hours.
Gosh, that's cool. Well, thanks for coming.
My pleasure.
I hope it's worth it.
It's worth it already.
Good.
You already gained notoriety.
Having completed our registrations, everyone jumped right on the tractors and headed to the first field.
Yeah.
So what you're seeing here is the first time I had set a plow in the ground for 5 years. It was kind of intimidating. The first field was plowing a lot of heavy cornstalk. As the night progressed and the chilly wind became even colder, I was having issues with the 8XL. The plow wasn't adjusted quite right, so it kept dragging me over into the furrows, and eventually I had a terrible steering issue. That was not a good clunk. So pretty soon it was apparent to everyone that I was having some issues. Brandon and the others came over to help. Here's Brandon he-manning the 8XL out of the furrows. And once we pushed it to the side, we were able to determine that the tie rod had popped out of the linkage. It was agreed that we'd take it to Brandon's place, he lives about 5 minutes away, and fix it later that night. In the meantime, the boys got it back together just well enough for me to unceremoniously limp it back to camp. Thankfully, that minor hiccup was the low point of the evening. From there, after we loaded the tractors up, all of the Sears guys drove to Weaver's Pizza in Watsontown. This is a roadside restaurant and gas place. You just can't make this up. It's been around forever. Old signs everywhere, good company. Austin paid for the whole dinner. Everyone had pizza and Coke and ice cream and tons of laughs and fun. And this is one thing I'm going to remember. In fact, I was just too engaged in conversation and good times to really think about videoing or taking any pictures. So this is one that I've stolen from the Facebook group. So Saturday morning came around. Saturday's the big day at Plow Day where the most tractors are registered. As you can see, the 8XL was fixed by pretty much everyone's hands but mine back at Brandon's. Here's Hugh's GT18 hydrodrive diesel. One thing I didn't mention before was that the voltage regulator wasn't quite fixed. I had to leave it running all the time so it would charge the battery. If you shut it off, it would kill it. A 19.9 being adjusted, I'll never get tired of that revving engine. And James's diesel tractors had been so reliable that all he had to do was decorate them a little. So from where everyone was parking and camping, they all drove their tractors around and stood for, first of all, the meeting at the beginning of Saturday's Plow Day.
Just pay attention and go slow. This isn't a race around here. No one's winning a competition. There's no prizes. So, take your time, and we'll be here till dark. So we got all day.
So after all that was said and done at the Plow meeting, and the beautiful trumpet rendition of the Star-Spangled Banner, there was also a very much beautiful parade of tractors. I stood here for 10 minutes straight and filmed each tractor going by on its way out to the fields. Now, as much fun as it was to spend most of Saturday spectating this event, I knew I had to get out on the action. So, I grabbed the selfie stick, hijacked James's D10S and the 8XL, and I hit the dirt. After the steering was fixed the previous night, and Austin took the time to adjust the plow, the 8XL flew along like a breeze. Next, the D10S, by far my favorite tractor to use, tore through the corn stalks like nothing. That thing was a beast. Later on, I caught up with the terrible trio. That's James on his Towmater Hydrotrack 14, Hugh on the big diesel, and Austin, who at that point was still riding the D10S. Towmater, in all of its patinaed glory, sailed through the beans, the hydrostatic transmission making easy work of it. The D10S's big tires were a big reason why it went so well that weekend. It never lost traction. And Hugh was having a lot of fun with his completely custom contraption. The tandem plow held together all weekend and tore through the beams like there was nothing there at all. It was incredible to see that thing work. Well, true to the old adage, time flies when you're having fun. And just too soon, PA Plow Day 2018 was over. The drive back went without a hitch, but it went well into the night, because the four of us stopped for supper in New York and to also meet an old My Tractor Forum member, Johnny Buys 68. James bought a really nice original York rake off of him. At the end of the day, we got home safe and sound. The next day, Hugh, Austin, and I drove to Massachusetts, where we had plans to visit a few YouTubers. Our first stop was James's lovely new house on this ancient piece of Massachusetts property. Personally, I think that this picture does more justice than anything else to the true scale of James's massive and very impressive collection of 19 Sears Suburban tractors. While we were at James's place, we had a quick but delicious lunch, and we helped finish the unloading of all of the implements from the massive PA Plow Day 2018 haul. Our other stop for the day was in Worcester, where we went to visit none other than Jake, aka 5 Tractor Guy.
Great, and a Gravely sticker on the back. What a beautiful house.
How's it going? Hey. Nice to see you again.
Likewise.
Long time no see.
You doing?
Taking them on camera right now.
Yep, you bet. Lobsterbox20 channel. Nice to meet you, Mr. 5 Tractor Guy.
So you got the memo
pretty good
about the square toes?
Yes. I don't fit well in the pointed toes.
No. Definitely more than the average person, so.
Yeah. Well,
One thing my visit to Jake's taught me is that YouTube tends to screw with your sense of scale a bit. I had no clue that a man of such talent worked out of this small, Shelter Logic pole tent, with barely enough room for one tractor inside, let alone all of the parts and all of the goodies. Jake is very organized, to say the least. I've never seen a shop like this, and it was just awesome to see where and how he works. I've been watching his videos for ages and ages, and I've been really inspired by all of the tractor rebuilds and everything that he's managed to do.
Grill, and I hooked it up.
Ah!
Now everything's going to come down. This is why I need a bigger shop. And I hooked it up so they light up.
That's cool.
That is cool.
And I've got one from a Dynamark from the 80s up in the front here. I did the same thing with. And that lights up. So I've been saving tractor grills. I got a Panzer, I got a wheel horse hood, I got a Gravely grill with all the lights in them, so when I get a shop I can put them on the inside.
Grab that side. It's a K. Is there a good place to lift from?
Anywhere really.
Okay.
It's a K295 Polar 2-stroke.
That's what it was, yeah.
Yeah.
That thing is
Different looking.
odd.
Yeah. That thing's cool.
Yeah, it is.
With a Gravely 4-wheel drive with a wheel horse hood.
Troll-lo-lo-lo-lo-lo.
And all he had to put hydraulic steering in for the articulation and build this
on the other side.
build this middle section.
There's the
One of the magnet tracks.
Oh yeah, I definitely wanted to see those. Another, I'll never see these again unless I come to the States kind of deal.
You'll never see these unless you come here.
Yeah, like
It just
blows my mind.
It is so.
He needs to bring this to Plow Day with a hitch on it. That's going to be our angle when he comes up here.
That's a salty.
Gravely is a man's tractor, as evidenced by this blade.
Oh yes, I've seen videos of those big blades.
CSOD attachment, circular saw of death.
Yep. That or the bush hog or
the dog eater snowblower. Oh, there's the chainsaw attachment.
Oh yeah.
Those tractors are weird too.
Oh, the Panzers, they are just gorgeous. I'm falling in love.
Those aren't even the pretty ones.
Well,
And then you got this thing.
Oh yeah, this is the.
This is
It's
the
like Worthington or Jacobson or something.
This is the Worthington. The Jake. I don't know where the Jake is.
I think he sold that.
No, I thought he sold the Jake or the Worthington.
So were they really this low from the?
Yep. Yeah.
Oh no way.
They were meant as golf course maintainers. They just pulled gang.
8-lug truck axle.
That's a Dana, I think, ain't it?
Yeah, it's like a Dana. Yeah. This is where the good stuff is.
Yeah, there's no shortage of it.
Can I duck in there?
Yeah, go right ahead. The wheel horse is a 1970, and I think the Panzer is an early 60s T70.
What, we have just a really flat tire on that?
Yeah, it goes flat over the winter.
Great day to get it out and air it up, don't you think?
I know.
Don't get any funny ideas now.
No, I will.
Okay, so Jake, tell the viewers what we're doing here.
Well, we're going to be heading up to Leominster, Massachusetts to go check out an estate sale with a bunch of equipment. We're going to take the 1961 GMC 5000 up there.
Oh man.
This truck is awesome. That's overdrive. Oh, that's why I got the Brownie. Yeah.
Still got bias plies on it?
Yep. I think they're the original tires, if I'm not mistaken.
Sounds about right. They don't wear out. Over the years, the rubber has cured to the point where one does not simply wear down.
Is the speedometer accurate?
It's about 10 to 12 miles an hour under what it should be, because I couldn't find the right road gearbox to hook up to my auxiliary transmission, so it still runs off of the main. So right now we're doing about 40, 45.
What's this thing top out at?
40, 45.
So here we are at the actual estate. I've been given permission to film here. This house is abandoned, unoccupied rather, for about 20 years. Built in the 1830s. And the auction is just going on now. Just an estate sale, rather, not auction. Lovely looking house. It's definitely not every day you get close to stuff like this. So Jake and Hugh and I have been looking around.
There you go. Oh, it's the you want to remove your multi-direction. Or maybe.
I'm barely seeing this, Mark. Said they dragged it from there. It's back into the house. Obviously used to have a deck or something like that on it.
I really didn't take much footage when I was around here, but I have to say I was oogling the whole time. It's amazing to be around a collection of equipment like this, this old, and a house this old. Jake really wanted that economy tractor, but unfortunately they decided to keep it. Can't say I blame them. But after all was said and done here, we parted ways with Jake, and Hugh, Austin, and I drove all the way back to Connecticut. We ended up getting back to Connecticut shortly before supper time, and just in time for me to accomplish one of my goals for the trip, which was to get a ride in Hugh's father's wonderful 1982 Porsche 911.
very cool car.
Yes, it is. Oh man, I've been drooling over it ever since you told me you were getting it.
Just had the transmission repaired. Took it out, took it to a good shop because the synchronization second was not good. So
I'd like to know absolutely
let's
everything you can tell me.
So it's an 82 SC, and it belonged to one guy from 82 until about 13, when a car dealer I work with, because I work in the car business, bought it from the original owner, who was too old to really drive it much anymore. And the car dealer drove it down from Maine to Massachusetts. He spent most of his life in Boston, and then the guy retired to Maine. And so I lived up there for a few years. And the original owner just maintained it regardless of cost, and I'll show you the service records on the car, because they're very impressive. So it was sitting at this dealership, and I knew when he bought it, and I kind of giving him magazines and just egging him on. And I realized that it was kind of stuck, and I asked him, what was happening with it. And he said, yeah, I don't know what to do. I may just put a junkyard motor in it, which is bullshit. You can't just generally go out and buy a junkyard motor for one of these. And it needed some other stuff too. So the shop where it was sitting, disassembled, was actually going to get sold, become a Toyota dealership. And so I said, what do you think of selling it? I hadn't spoken to my wife or anything, and I was just sort of freelancing. He said, yeah, I'd think about it. So we went back and forth and agreed on the price. So the engine was apart, and the guy had bagged and tagged all the pieces. But I bought it. I knew the car had run well. So a lot of trouble when people get into big car projects is I think they take them too far apart. So in this, I left the fuel injection on its manifold and everything all alone, and when it came time, installed that onto the engine, and it's got 6 individual cylinder heads. I'd had those redone, obviously new studs. The main bearings were fine in it at 180,000 miles, because there's 8 main bearings in a Porsche motor. Didn't even though need to put rings in it. I had the cylinders checked by a Porsche specialist who just honed them, measured them, gave me a printout and showed they were fine. So that's good, because if I'd had to have new pistons and cylinders, that would have been $5,000. So the engine had a top end rebuild and the bearings it needed, and then very carefully assembled. And the day I got it installed, it had a recent clutch, so I didn't need to replace that. The day I got it installed, I had 2 friends over. One of them was Louis, standing there with fire extinguishers, and I literally put the key in and it started right up. And it was, I can't tell you how happy I was. It was like amazing feeling. I just go. It's pretty cool, huh? Yep. Second. Goes all the way to the red line just beautifully. Speedometer is not accurate. It's reading much too low, so don't believe that. How are you?
Hello, sir. How are you?
This is Rory. He's visiting us from Canada.
Hi. How are you, Matt?
Good to meet you, Matt.
Nice to meet you. This car is sexy.
Yeah, you can say that again. This is my, was my first time in a Porsche.
Okay.
Just about darn near passed out. Oh my God, it's just so exciting. These are beautiful.
Yeah, I could use new badges that you can't just unbolt.
My last evening in Connecticut was really chill and really nice. I got to spend some good quality time shortly before supper looking at Hugh's father's other classic car, an Alfa Romeo 2000. Just beautiful once again, very well taken care of. Afterwards, we got to play with a little model steam train that hadn't been run in about 8 years. The four of us gathered around it and fired it up and had some fun, and that was nice too. At the end of it all, the three of us just hung out around the house and shot the breeze until we finally had to go to sleep and get a good rest for the long flight the next day.
Your seatbelt is fastened, your table trays are in the upright position at the end. Thank you, and we hope you have a pleasant flight.
After 6 days and 8,200 kilometers, it's very safe to say that I had the vacation of a lifetime. Everywhere I went, I met beautiful people who shared my passions, extended their hospitality, and expanded my perspective in ways that I never could have imagined. I got to see firsthand what it means to be a part of America.